wanted to do another kind of talking through my phone video. So for the last couple of years, I've been documenting each game I've beaten that year because I like to do it kind of to reflect on, what games I've played. And I've also got a really bad memory, so it helps. I also like to count how many games did I beat this year, kind of genres and such. So to get into it, the game I beat, the very first game I beat this year was Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince. I started the game in 2023. I got it not long after it came out. I think it came out December 1st, 2023. I got it a bit later, probably for a cheaper price. So like me and Dragon Quest is kind of I'm not going to say it's interesting, but it's more so Dragon Quest is a series I've always had like a deep place in my heart for, despite barely playing any of the games. And I don't know why. So like whenever I see Dragon Quest, it makes me comfortable, right? And I don't mind Dragon Ball Z. Like if you're thinking maybe it's Akira Toriyama's artwork, right? Dragon Ball's fine to me, but something about Dragon Quest has always made me feel kind of at ease for whatever reason. So it's a series I really care about. It's a series I care about. And I love a lot of the character designs. The slime is so simple, but I think it's peak character design. The slime. So what games have I beaten? So obviously I've beaten this. I beat Monsters Joker 1. I've beaten Dragon Quest 9, 11. 1, I beat Dragon Quest 1, and I do plan on getting the Dragon Quest 3 remake. Seems like a good time. Anyway, so about this game, I was interested in it because, as I mentioned, years ago, so I got Dragon Quest. If you just come into this never seeing any of my videos before, I rant just about everything. We'll get to the main point, but it takes some time. It's ADHD be like that. But go back into it. I remember when I got a DSi when I was a kid, and one of the games I got with it was Dragon Quest Monsters Jokers 1, and I quite enjoyed it from what I did, because I always like Pokemon, of course, is the main thing in this channel. I'm autistically obsessed. I make no secret that I'm autistic, and I like certain things and monster tamers because it's something I really enjoy because of my overwhelming love for Pokemon. So it's a game I immediately caught onto, but I never actually originally finished Monsters Jokers because I used a lot of cheats back then because I just liked messing with games and seeing what I could do, and I always thought it was fun. But I can't remember what I did exactly, but I must have cheated it in a certain way that I was never able to finish it. I did later replay and finish it. So I really like Monster Jokers as a series, right? So seeing it released on the Switch, I thought, well, this is great. If I buy this, it can help show that, hey, we want more Monster Tamers. We want more Dragon Quest Monster Joker games in the West. So I bought it, and overall, the game is fine. So, if you don't know, in Dragon Quest, well, I'll just call it Monsters Jokers from now on. In Monsters Jokers, the way you get monsters, first you gotta recruit them, which you do through battle. You don't catch them like Pokemon, you gotta impress them. And then the way you get stronger monsters is mostly through synthesis or fusion. See, they simplified synthesis in this game, where before you needed kind of monsters on two different polarities, right? It might be M and F, it might be something different, I can't remember, or some of those neutral. They removed that for this game, which made synthesis a lot more convenient. However, the issue a lot of the time with this system is that if you need multiple of a monster, or you need a monster later on for a fusion, it can be a real pain to get them. So I ended up caving and buying a £8 DLC for this game called the Monster Hall or something, where you could more easily recruit monsters you've already gotten. And this, while it really did help my playthrough, and I was really able to make my slime team. I adore the slimes in Dragon Quest so much. I mentioned earlier, I really, really love all of the slime family. So I wanted a slime team. Which I could say, if I wanted to do it through normal means, I would have been in that game for hundreds and hundreds of hours of just grinding. Even with this DLC, there was quite a bit of grinding. From what I understand the story, I guess spoilers ahead, just to skip ahead to whatever point. The story, from what I understand, is a retelling or kind of an alter universe version of, I believe, Dragon Quest IV, because you are playing as the main antagonist, and you don't get killed. Well, you see yourself getting like ended off in the way that happens in Dragon Quest IV, but then time reverts, and you don't die for now. Um, but the story overall was fine. It was like, I don't want to say fever dreamish. It kind of just went by. Like it was okay, right? It was alright. The gameplay, aside from the issue I mentioned, like the grinding for synthesis, it's at the end of the day, it's a nice monster tamer. I just wish it was easier to get these synthesis going without the level of grinding or having to go out of your way to find specific monsters. Because one thing they included in this game, which makes it's good and bad in a sense. So they included seasons. So think like Black and White 2. They changed like every 20 something minutes, and depending on the season, depends on what monsters you can find. Well, that one in a way increases the variety of monsters that can be in a map. It also means if you want a specific monster that only appears in a certain season, you gotta wait for that season, hope it comes up, and hope you recruit it. There's another system where you can find eggs around the overworld, and there's some monsters that can only be obtained through fusion of some of these egg monsters. Like, I wanted to collect all of the slimes in the game, but I gave up once I realized I needed to get a specific monster from an egg on a specific map. And I kept trying, and it just wasn't getting it. And like you could say, you just need to keep grinding, but I just didn't find it fun enough to keep doing it, because it's less than it's a little more than mindless. You gotta think a little bit more, because you need to navigate around enemies in order to start battle. Anyway, this is a big tangent now. Overall, if you like Dragon Quest, if you like Monster Tamers, if you like Monster Tamers, I think I would recommend it, because it is charming. It's got that Dragon Quest charm, right? That most of all Dragon Quest games are gonna have. And maybe consider whatever purchase you're making, including that £8 or dollars on top of it, because it makes things a lot easier. And through that, buying that DLC, I was able to get my really fun slime team, which I really like. Maybe I'll make a video showing it at some point, but probably not. But anyway, that's Dragon Quest Monsters. Joke is done. Monsters done for now. Next is Pizza Tower. So Pizza Tower was a bit my tongue. Sorry. Pizza Tower was a game I wanted to play for pretty much as soon as it came out. Well, less of because of the gameplay. The gameplay is great. Don't get me wrong, but I love the art style. I grew up in the generation of Cartoon Network with like Ed, Edd and Eddy. Really, really loved Ed and Eddy, and like cartoons of that era. And this game seemed to capture that in a way I haven't seen before in video games. It was this MS Paint looking art style, the sound effects it uses, how maverick the game gets, right? It really kind of lit that spark in me of, reminded me how much I enjoyed these cartoons. And then you could argue it's like, oh, that's based in nostalgia, kind of. You could argue the soldiers are a leading force, but at the same time, these things do make imprints in us and the things we're interested in. And I liked how zany this game was. I liked, just how ballistic it gets with the animations. Peppino's such a poor, stressed man, but got it. I love it when he's filled with anxiety and running for his life. The music, of course, it's Pizza Time, man. It is an amazing song. It's such a great game. The platforming is fluid, it's fast, it's zany, it's fun. It really didn't take me that long to beat it. It was like, oh no, like 4 hours, maybe 4 to 7 hours. I can't remember entirely. It's not a super long game if you just want to go for the main story, but like the amount of fun and the amount of ways they stretch like the idea of just pizza is really kind of funny to me, because you think like, what can you do with pizza? When they got cheese pizza levels, they make the pizza into like a space. They find a reason to make pizza work in space, with olives expanding into these bubbles you fly in. And then they go with like a FNAF like level because it's connected to pizza. They find so many funny ways to kind of justify pizza's existence, or like ideas of pizza into platforming mechanics. Not that every level is strictly about pizza, but they tend to be either pizza or like fast food themed, and I thought it was brilliant. I highly, highly recommend this game, especially since I bought it. It's gotten a free update where you can play as the Noise, which is on a boss in the game. I have started playing it, but I got annoyed. It's not the game's fault. I understand the game is well designed and everything's done, but I think maybe I just need to start from the beginning because it's been a while since I played. I went back to it, and the controls of Pizza Tower are very reactive. There's a lot of controls you can do. It's very fast, which means it can be a little difficult to just immediately pick it up without going for tutorials. That's not me slanting the gameplay. The gameplay's fine. It's on me to learn it. But no, Pizza Tower is a game I very much recommend. Then for the third game, we got Emerald Rogue. So actually, I haven't got it written down here, but I have also beaten Poker Rogue. This was before a lot of updates happened. It's around the time it came out because I probably saw Hood and Callum play it. Because fun fact, I found out I was in what the 0.1% of his viewers. I didn't even realize I watched him that much, but apparently I do. But so it's a channel I recommend. So there was Poker Rogue, which is separate from Emerald Rogue, an online web browser game. I beat it like 3 times. I tried to run the other day, it didn't finish, but that game's fine. Forgot to put it down on this list. But for Emerald Rogue, so while Poker Rogue is like a online browser game, Emerald Rogue is I believe, a ROM hack of Pokemon Emerald. And the mechanics are slightly different. So, like in Poker Rogue, when your Pokemon gets knocked out, you can revive it. Emerald Rogue, it's effectively Nuzlocke rules. It actually took me, like, despite my disgusting amount of time I spent with Pokemon and my autistic level knowledge with the series, it took me a good number of runs to win, which is a little frustrating. But obviously, I could have been playing better in his other runs, but at the same time, roguelikes, you can get screwed over, right? It's a part of what it is. But this game does something that I quite like in roguelikes, is that there's somewhat of a progression system to where if you die, you're not starting like completely from level 1 scratch. I understand that people may find that appealing, like you gotta start at the beginning exactly as you were before. And you got to fight through it. But I like soft progression in it because it makes my time in the game feel a bit more tangible, a little less wasted. And in Emerald Rogue, the way that works is that when you catch a Pokemon, you can use that from the start. If you win, you get money from your previous runs. You can plant berries that you can bring as held items. You can strengthen your Pokemon before you take it into a run. It's got a lot of really nice things, to be honest. And I believe now, so I played version 1, and I understand now that there's a version 2. I haven't played that yet. But from what I've seen, it looks great. But have to download it and give it a try. So next, we have the Great Ace Attorney. So I started this game in 2022, but I put it down because it's a lot of text, right? So sometimes I just fall out of wanting to read, I guess. And I decided to put it down, didn't get back to it till 2024. And, do you know what? And despite me saying, sometimes I just don't want to read and stop playing games, I do like Ace Attorney, and I love the Great Ace Attorney. Just how dramatic it is, right? The music is amazing. If you have not heard Great Ace Attorney music, listen to it. It's amazing. It's so good. It increases the level. Again, it makes it so dramatic. It makes it super hype. I absolutely adore the soundtrack. I can't say too much on the story because my experience with it now is very segmented and my memory isn't amazing. But if you like Ace Attorney and you haven't touched Great Ace Attorney, I don't know what you're doing. The games go on sale all the time. I highly recommend it. The characters are really fun. From what I remember, the gameplay, again, it's I don't want to say no nuance. They think of like small new mechanics they can introduce to the courtroom, or things they can do outside of the courtroom. Like you have these investigations with Herlock Sholmes. That's how they got the game to the West. So they just swapped the H and the S. So I thought it was amazing. It's just a really good game. I haven't gotten to 2 yet. I do mean to, but I will at some point because they come together in the collection. They're always on sale. Just get it. Next is a game that's quite, I guess, special to me now. It's Yokai Watchful ++. We're looking at the same sky. This game is not out in English. I played this through alternate means I do have a copy. I bought a copy because I felt bad. So I do have a physical Japanese copy of Yokai Watch 4 Plus Plus. I have been coping about this game for years. I love Yokai Watch. Originally, I'm sorry. Originally, I was a Yokai Watch hater through and through because obsessed with Pokemon. I didn't like the idea of someone coming and kind of trying to take Pokemon's spot, so I, vehemently denied the existence of Yokai Watch. Yokai Watch is bad. But then one day I was in a Tesco and I saw Yokai Watch one for like £15. I'm like, oh, seems like a funny bit. I'll try it. And man, I fell in love with that game. I don't think I've ever gone from hate to love so quickly. Maybe quick is quickly the word, just like so dramatically, where I'm so against it as a series, but it's just so charming, man. The music, it makes me feel so happy. It makes me feel warm and cozy. The designs of the yokai are fun. They're silly. The gameplay is different. Pokemon, where Pokemon you have direct control over everything, and Yokai Watch is a game where you how do I word it? You set everything up ahead of time, and then you try and manage what you've got. So, I thought I had an analogy. Think of it like poker. You can make the best poker hand you can, but the way it goes after you make that best hand is, we have to just is up to luck. And anyway, not the best analogy. I love Yokai Watch. Played Yokai Watch 2. Yokai Watch 2 is probably my least. Is it my least favorite a lot? It's got a fun story, but like the movement mechanics really annoyed me in that game. You get the bike so late, and then having to wait through the train every time. I don't want to say it's my least favorite. I'm not sure. It's got a load of content. Even more Psychic Spectres, I think, yeah. Which has a lot of post game, which is kind of annoying to access because you've got to do a lot of grinding, and even the fastest way of grinding is still really finicky. And then there's Yokai Watch 3, which is a game I am lucky enough to own. I got it when it came out, really. That's how I got a £200+ game for £30. I looked everywhere. No, I didn't look everywhere in my local town for it. I bought online. I looked everywhere in my local town for Yokai Watch Red Cat Corpse, which I didn't play a whole lot of because it's majority. I beat the game, but like it's a majority. It's mainly a multiplayer game, and now it's the service is down, which sucks. But Yokai Watch 4, after playing all these other Yokai Watch games, it was a game I was really looking forward to. And I remember they announced it for the West, right? They announced it, but it never came out. And let me tell you, I am probably the biggest Yokai Watch 4 English release coper that exists. Any partner showcase, any level 5 showcase, I'm like, well, they're going to show Yokai Watch 4, right? I want Yokai Watch 4, Uh, and we never got it. So I found a way, I found a way of making it work on what I have. And I also bought physical copy. I played an English patch, and it's great. It's really great. The gameplay is different, and if I was to say if I prefer this new style of combat in Yokai Watch 4, where you're more running around shooting your projectiles and such, versus the RPG, the turn-based RPG. It's not really turn-based though, is it? It's versus the more typical RPG gameplay of Yokai Watch 1, 2, 3. I do think I prefer the gameplay of the 1, 2, 3. But not that doesn't mean the combat in Yokai Watch 4 is bad. It's not bad. It's different. I don't like it as much, but it's still fun and engaging, right? The facelift of the series, the graphical increase versus Yokai Watch 3 is nuts. I think it's kind of what we were hoping for from Sword and Shield. The one big part about this game to me was when, you first start the game as Nate. You're in Springdale and the music's being remixed. The town, it all looks like IRL to scale. It looks like an actual, because obviously things are a bit more chimpified in the 3DS, but in this, it looks just like a normal town. It really, really made me happy. Really happy. The music in this game is stellar. The story's really cute. I can't remember all of it right now, but it's a nice, zany, sometimes serious Yokai Watch story, and it's really sweet. It's a really fun game. I spent 60 to 70 hours in this, because I enjoyed it so much, and why I direly wish they're going to bring it out in the West. They're probably not. So I'm glad I got to play it one way or the other. Next is something entirely different. Next is not for broadcast. I can't remember how I got this game. I think it was through a Humble Bundle sale. So, not for broadcast is a really interesting game. It's a game where you are a kind of you work on the telly. You're the guy who turns TV shows on, and you make live edits to these shows. Let's say if someone swears, you got to beep it out. You've got to play the ads after whatever's airing. It's really interesting. I believe it's got a world record for the most FMV videos in a game. As in, like, most hours of video. It has got like over 40 hours because that game's like 50 gigabytes. So throughout the game, you got to manage both what's on the telly and you got to manage your studio, and it's quite an interesting mix. It's got tougher modes if you really want it to be quite rough. I didn't play on the highest difficulty modes because I preferred to have a slightly more relaxed time. To me, I found the game a little difficult at points. I think that's just because I sucked at it. But like the game's really funny, and like the choices you make in it really quite matter. So you can get a lot. So I've got bomb ending. You didn't read that. That's not there. Ignore that. But like, there's a lot of different endings, and it depends on how you view the world and kind of how you view how the media is affecting the world around you and what they're trying to push and what the government is saying and whether you agree with that or not. It's quite interesting. But let me just say it again: the game is very funny. Don't want to show any bias, but it's British, so it's got like a lot of humor that's going to lead to my more British tendencies. But I think it's one of those games that like pretty much anyone would find funny. I watched some videos of some people who work in broadcasting, right? And they said the game's it's pretty similar, like genuinely is. I only did 2 playthroughs. I did the first playthrough, which is the one playthrough. Then I tried to do a different one, but I found that even for the sake of a different playthrough, my ideologies, I guess, not that I want to necessarily think I'm constrained by my ideologies, but like the choices I made happened to, I think, led to the same thing again. So maybe it's I need to follow a specific guide. But the thing is, when you're playing it again, of course, the gameplay is rather similar each time. You do get to see different segments here and there, but it's the early game is very similar. So personally, for me, I found it. I wasn't incentivized enough to keep playing it over and over and over again because I started getting dulled the gameplay. It's probably I doubt it's a thing about the game itself, but it's more so a thing with me where I get bored somewhat easily. Um, but like, I highly recommend this game if you find it on sale and you like these kind of games. These FMV, your choices matter kind of games. I highly recommend it. It's really funny. Next is Pokemon Xenoverse. So this is not a ROM hack, this is a fan game, which again, I have watched Hoodlum Cannon play through. So I didn't go into this game blind. I knew basically what the monsters were. I knew the setting, the world, all the twists and turns. And I found, it's fun. It's a really well made Pokemon fan game. The designs they have, the new designs, the region's neat, right? The new designs are quite fun. I liked my team. I can't remember. I picked the grass starter. I picked the grass starter. I got like this Chimera monster, Sacrifam Soul. I can't remember his name. He was fun. This might be a psychic ghost type. He was really good for Thunderbolt. This really cute, chubby fire fairy bear. He's adorable. It's a pain in the ass to evolve, though. Porygon West, which the amount of grinding I did to get it, it was not as good as that grinding would say. They included a whole new type in the game. I believe it was Sound type, which was an interesting way of spicing up the gameplay. One thing was interesting. It's kind of a spoiler. If you don't want to be spoiled, skip ahead a little. It's how you start. It doesn't really evolve, but it gets new forms, which was quite cool. And I was really happy with the grass stars, like final forms. It's very cool, and they do like change quite differently, which a regular evolution line wouldn't allow. Where these different forms, because they got different stat totals. Like obviously, with each form, the stat total gets higher, but there's a slightly different focus each time. And because of this being separate forms rather than being an evolution tree, right, the forms can visually vary quite greatly, at least for the grass line. they have the same basic core ideas for the design, but then they stretch that and make it whatever they want, which is really neat. It didn't take, how long did I spend this game? Probably about 20, 30 hours. The main story, it's not too difficult. It can be a little rougher at times, because fan games do. Oh, sorry, that was another one of my team members. I used this ground dark crow raven thing that had these bone structures on it. It was super cool. But the game fan games do tend to be a little more difficult than main Pokemon games, but it's still enough. If you played Pokemon before, won't be an issue for you. One thing about the game I was a massive on was the music. Excuse me, so sorry. But the music it didn't hit with me very much at all. It was at a point where there was only like I think like one song. I'm like, oh, I quite like this song. I wouldn't mind downloading this and put this on my playlist. But the music's not amazing. To me personally, if you like it, that's fine. But yeah, the music wasn't a highlight for me. But everything else was. The graphics are nice. The story is taking place like relatively in the future to the current Pokemon timeline. It's interesting. All the new designs. If you're looking just for like Pokemon, but a bit different, if you want to play with new designs, because we're still waiting for ZA, by all means, I very much recommend it. So I want to say after Xenoverse, these games are not in order of what I beat them, unfortunately, because so I had this list, and then my phone got broke, my phone busted, and I lost the original list. So a lot of this is recreated from memory, but I'll keep talking about each game as we're going. So Pony Island is by the creator of Inscription, and I adore Inscription. Inscription is a roguelike deck building game. I'm not going to say anything more than that because you should play it. You don't need me. It's got one of my highest recommendations. I almost completely 100% that game. I really love that game. Play it if you want something a bit dark, a bit odd. But also, it's a good deck builder with amazing atmosphere and music. So Pony Island is a game. It was really cheap. I saw it. I thought, I liked Inscription, and I see Pony Island 2's coming out. So I thought, let's pick it up. And it's a very short game, which to me was a plus, because sometimes I just want to run through a bunch of really short games rather than playing like one 80-hour game. I say that I did Dragon Quest, and not long after did Yokai Watch. But yeah, Pony Island is a really short game, but it's a really interesting one. So you're interacting with like this in-game computer setup, and you've got to navigate that through like these demons caught inside the computer, try and navigate their tricks, beat their games. You're basically playing against a game creator who almost doesn't want you to win, and you've got to try and escape. And it's I'm not going to say too much more. The gameplay is varied, the graphics are really cool, the atmosphere is amazing, the music. Did I say really cool? The music? The music is really cool. If you like kind of, is surreal the word? If you like mind twisty games, that's the way of putting it. If you like games that kind of mess with your head and kind of make you question, what is a game? The kind of the meta look into the creation of video games and playing video games. I highly recommend this. Next is One Shot. One Shot's a game I wanted for ages. Like, just because I heard about it and I saw the main character, he looked super cute. But I thought I wanted to play it on Steam Deck, but it just flat out was not playable on Steam Deck. So I saw it on sale on Switch, and I caved and I got it. Funnily enough, not long after I bought it on Switch, it became available on Steam Deck, and it was cheaper. My life is a comedy. But anyway, One Shot, I went into the game not knowing anything about it, and it says base run here because I have not finished the second run, which I know, from what I understand, isn't quite important to the game. I really should get around to doing that. One Shot, going into it, I thought you only had one go at the game, where if you died in the game or something, you just couldn't keep playing. So I was worried about that going into it. That's not what it was. It's more so kind of like it's a Roma game where it's mostly going around solving little puzzles, talking to people, figuring out what the world you are in is, because the main character is not from that world. And it's got cute dialogue. It's kind of like I don't want to say it's like necessarily like Earthbound or Undertale, but it's got fun, quirky dialogue, and it's got an interesting world, cute dialogue, cute characters, and is once again kind of a meta game in a sense that you are both playing with this character, but also a virtual computer like with in game. It's very interesting, and I should get around to that other run. But from what I played, the game's enticed me. I liked it. So again, this is really out of order now, but out of nowhere, I just really wanted to play a Castlevania game. So I bought the GBA collection, and I demolished them. Uh, I got really, really into Castlevania. So, like, I love. I've mentioned the channel before. I'm a goth at heart. I love my gothic stuff so much, and Castlevania, of course, is a very gothic series. So sometimes I randomly get really into Castlevania, but this time I did something about it, and I played the games. So I'm gonna have to try and separate the games in my head because the 3GB games, they do have things that separate them, but of course, yeah. So, Circle of the Moon. So, being the first Castlevania, Metroidvania I played since, what's it called? The Alucard game. What's it called? Can't remember right now. I'll probably remember later on and interrupt myself. Which I played on the Vita years ago. And I really quite enjoyed it. Well, like, I beat it in about 8 hours. And the overall gameplay was cool. You're running around this gothic mansion in the Metroidvania style, was something I very much enjoyed. But there's just a couple things that kind of annoyed me. So, in this game, I believe, is it this game? Which has a system which I believe called is DSS? DDS? It's something like that. Where it's the dual system or something, where you get these cards from certain enemies, and when you combine two cards, you get an effect, and each of these cards can be used with one another, meaning you got a litany of different effects you can utilize at any point. That's really cool, and I like cards, so I really want to collect them. However, drop rates are annoying, and I thought like it's a real issue that the game's main mechanic is tied to RNG, whether you can actually use the mechanic or not. Like, they give you some cards early on just to show you, hey, this is what it does, right? But I found that really annoying, to be honest. And what did it hamper my experience of the game? Kind of, because I just wanted to use the cool skills, and I'm not saying I shouldn't have to earn them. Maybe get them off the bosses. I don't know. But oh no, I did have an issue with that. But overall, the game was fun. I struggled with the final boss. That's something to do with all these Castlevania games I played. I I get really, really, really angry at the final bosses. I mean, like, I'm shouting at like 3 a.m. It's bad, and I get shouted at. But like, for the first Castlevania Metrovania I played in a while, it was really quite good. And then I don't know why it's listed there, but I thought, okay, I'll try the Metrovania. Maybe I should try. I believe people call it Classicvania. And versus the Metrovania games, I'm terrible at Classicvania games. I'm really, really bad at them. The games are difficult but fair. And it helps that in the version I was playing, there's infinite retries and such. But it's difficult. I'm very glad I played it. Very glad. I'm very glad. I'm glad I played it because I got to have a bit more of a taste for get see what Classicvania is like, and it's a classic game, of course. It's a game that I've always wanted to try and play, and I'm glad I beat. But I probably wouldn't go back to it. The final boss is really difficult. I quite struggled with it, but I did feel that level of accomplishment when I did beat it. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't remember anything about Harmony of Despair. I just remembered something. I remember you come with another guy, and he's angry that you're the one that's trying to fight Dracula. Was it this game or the previous game that had the zombie dragon that drove me nuts? That boss is stupid. Where it's got two heads, and you gotta try and kill both of them, and like the HP jump from the previous fight's kind of stupid. Yeah, I remember nothing of Harmony of Despair for some reason. I know I enjoyed it, and the final boss like frustrated me, but nothing in my literally no. Sure, I got my Switch right here. Um, I'd say how unprofessional, but we all know if you're listening this far, I doubt you are, that these videos aren't professional in the slightest. LMAL. It's just me rambling. Come on, Switch, we can do this. I don't know. What's wrong with my Joy-Con? So much Joy-Con ASMR for you lot there. Let's have a look, just so I can get a bit more of a grasp on. Yeah, because this is a reflection of what I played throughout the year. So, nope, wrong game. There we go, the Advanced Collection. Oh, that's one thing as well. Like, I grew up with the GBA. I never played these when I was younger, but like being able to play, it's nice seeing the GBA games are starting to come out more now. Because of course, it's a generation I'm quite nostalgic for. That's part of it, and hearing like the kind of GBA sounds, it's nice. It's just nice. So I'm glad to have been able to go through these. Okay, so Harmony of Despair. Loading it up. God, if you're listening this far, how long did I spent 7 hours in this? Each of these games I spent about 6-7 hours in. I just need to remember what the main mechanic was. Spell book. I had a spell book. Okay, yeah. You collect different books and you combine those with the special items you got. Okay, I remember how I beat the final boss. I spammed the hell out of it because I was tired and I wanted it dead. So I can't remember too much about the game. I remember it just being alright, and I'm pretty sure I liked it more than Circle of the Moon. Then there's Aria of Sorrow, a game that amongst the Metroidvania Castlevania games is supposed to be one of the better ones. And yeah, it was quite good. I quite enjoyed it. The sprite art had once again improved. I always find it interesting how they put these coloured outline around the character. I think it's just to help you see where they are. But something about this game I thought was really neat was like the whole King of Monsters thing, where when you defeat an enemy, there's a chance, and again, it's kind of an issue where it's RNG, whether you get these things, but you can become monsters. And I've always liked that kind of thing where you can, because it's kind of like monster taming, right? And that was really cool. The game overall, how long? I think I spent about 8 hours in it. Of course, the graphics were great. I'm running out of things to say about Castlevania games right now, and we got another one coming up. Great. The final boss, by the way, the form before the final boss, it's like one of my favorite designs of Castlevania. Now, one of my favorite designs of all time. It's so gothic. It's so kind of gorish. It's absolutely outstanding. I love it. It's like a halo going in between these two angels' eyes. It's like the coolest thing ever. And so I'm very glad I played this game, if not just so I know that boss exists now. And the final boss also kind of drove me nuts because I'm bad at video games, but I did beat it. Next is Aria of Sorrow, which is a continuation from Dawn of Sorrow, which is a continuation of Aria of Sorrow. Oh, I also said that. I mean, Julius Mode. Julius Mode's a mode you unlock after you finish the game, where you go through Castlevania, but as Julius Belmont, and you use his moveset. It was fun. It was a good time. So Dawn of Sorrow is a continuation of Aria of Sorrow. And one big issue I have with it is the art style. Now, this is not a uncommon take. They took away the beautiful, amazing gothic art of Castlevania and made it generic anime, and it's just like, it's just upsetting because in my eyes, it's one of the selling points of Castlevania is that you get this gorgeous art, and I know it's just to cover and just the character sprites in game, as in like when you see their portraits, but like it's the flavor of Castlevania, man. Like Castlevania is not generic anime; it's a gothic fantasy. It's I don't know. Anyway, I really I was really quite disappointed by the art style. But the gameplay, it being on the DS, one thing I quite liked about that was that, of course, the graphics had gone up. So it meant the level of detail and gore they're able to do at points was a lot better. And like one thing, I don't know if other people agree with me, but like, what's the word? The way, not ragdoll, is ragdoll the word? Like the way certain enemies move in this game now with high fidelity. It almost looks like they're on a string in a sense. And I really like that. There was multiple points during this game I kind of struggled with. I haven't mentioned, but my sense of direction is terrible, even with a map. So I got very lost, quite frustrated in all of these games. It makes you wonder why I kept playing them. I enjoyed the general gameplay and the art style, the gothicness of Castlevania to keep going. But no, the art style in this one was special plus, really, because just the high fidelity is great. And of course, that is separate to the general, because they can't really make the base art style of the game generic anime like they would the portraits of the characters or in the front of the box. Yeah, again, I struggled with this final boss as well. Always struggle with one of them, always shouting at the end of them. And I stopped playing Castlevania games after this because Mario and Luigi's Brothership came out, and I thought I should probably take a break from Castlevania and play Brothership. That was the wrong decision. I wanted to keep playing Castlevania and just stop playing Brothership. By the way, that game's fine. It's completely fine. I wasn't enjoying it. I just wasn't feeling it at the time. I will be going back to it and finishing it. Next is Astro's Playroom. So I got a PS5 I guess last year now, right? I got a PS5 last year. Because one, I wanted a media hub, kind of like to watch my Blu-rays and my DVDs on, because I have quite a number of DVDs that I like. I collect specifically Pokemon DVDs, stop motion, anime, and Adam Sandler. It's a very specific combination, but I collect those movies. I have a Japanese copy of Spanglish, which that film is not the kind of Adam Sandler film I thought it was going to be, and did not enjoy it as much because of it. I don't know. They make me laugh. Anyway, so I've got Astrobot, and so one thing I was really hyped about the PS5 as soon as it got announced is the haptic feedback. I don't know if it's just because I'm autistic, but I really, really, really love the haptic feedback of the PS5 controller. And I remember when I tried a friend's PS5 out the first time, I fell in love with it. I just loved the way that even like Astrobot made the controller jiggle and jive in all these interesting ways and reacted to the game with all of the all the audio coming out of the controller. It's so cool, and I 100%ed this. That's noted there. I 100%ed this little tech demo because I enjoyed it so much. It's so charming. It's so charming, man. And again, I cannot stress so much how much I love the haptics. They make the PS5 to me. Well, the PS5, it makes a lot of what I love about Astrobot to me, other than the game just generally being. Sorry, it's late, as you can see by the time I'm on the phone. But it's so charming, which leads us to Astrobot. So Astrobot is the reason I bought a PS5, other than wanting the media hub. It was those two reasons, but pretty much I saw Astrobot, thought this looks amazing, I need to buy the PS5. And buy the PS5 I did. For this one game, which, yes, probably sounds stupid. I have since bought more games for the PS5. Haven't really finished many, but I have since finished more. Bought more. Sorry. But, quite frankly, Astrobot was my game of the year. You see, I've got other games further down here that people think, but you played those. How can you think Astrobot's the game of the year? Astrobot, to me, is game of the year because it is whimsy. It is pure, just over-the-top, video gamey whimsy. And that means a lot to me. It's the kind of game where you could tell, it definitely isn't a super high budget game in the hundreds of millions, or even the 20, tens of millions even. It probably didn't have a super long design cycle, but you could tell the people who were making the game really liked making this game, and you could tell because it's really, really fun. There's loads of little references everywhere, and that's one thing. People say, "Oh, it's an advertisement game." Yes, but I think it's done tastefully. I'm not a PlayStation fanboy, really. I play PlayStation, but seeing these two characters kind of astrobotified, it's cute. And as some people pointed out, it reminds people of older series and makes them kind of want to go back and try them, which means they get to find more games. Now, if you're completely stuck on the whole thing of Astro Bot's a advertisement game, I don't like advertisement games, so I'm sorry. All games have advertisements in them now, pretty much. In Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, if you open the menu, immediately you get advertised for the DLC. I don't like it, really. But it's the world we live in, baby. But no, Astrobot is a game just of pure whimsy, of pure just video gamey fun, which remind me of why I love video games so much. The interactivity and, the haptics. I love the haptics so much. I adore them. This game, there was never a dull moment. It was like 20 to 30 hours of just pure fun. I cannot recommend this game enough if you already got a PS5. I do not regret buying a PS5 to play this game, which sounds crazy, I know, but I mean it. I adore this game, and I want to play through it again. Next, what do we have next? Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Yeah, I beat this way before Astrobot. So when it got announced, I immediately wanted it, because I have been wanting to play this game for many years. I've watched online playthroughs, I watched Chuck Conway play it, I watched Lucajin play it. I really enjoyed watching Lucajin play it. I haven't watched it in years though. But no, I watched the play and I really wanted the game, but the game was stupid expensive because I hate the retro gaming market. It's ridiculous. Video games are meant to be played, man. And I just wish they were more affordable so people could experience games. But we got emulation, I guess, so it's, it's whatever, but like still people are like, damn, this is a separate brand. Even as a Pokemon game collector, you think I would want these games to be more expensive, but like no, because I'm not going to sell them. I just want people to play Pokemon if they can get it officially, But no, the video game market is stupid and it annoys me. Anyway, this game is great. So they did make some improvements in it, I believe, where the backtracking is better, which is great because I get bored of backtracking really easily. Ignore that when I'm talking about actual video games, they're different. But this game, it was just another time. It was just a really just solid, good time. The music's great. They added character themes to this game, which I thought was great. And the like Goombetta's theme is amazing. Vivian's theme. We have Vivian Stans here. I love Vivian a lot. She's adorable. She's got a cute story, which I think would help a lot of people viewing it. I think she's a great character overall. But again, Goombetta, is that name? Goombetta, one of the two. I love her theme as well. And they made new battle themes for every area. Well, it's the same general, I don't know if melody is the right word, melody, but they remix it depending on the area. And I love the Twilight Town. I think that's the name. Area. It's spooky, it's gothic, it's cool. The game's visuals are really great. I know people aren't happy the game is in 60 FPS, and I know I'm going to sound weird for saying this, but I must be a freak in nature or something, because I really don't notice FPS unless it's super egregious. Like, I can't tell the difference between 30 and 60 FPS. And my eyes have been checked. Like, there's never, like, I have glasses, but, like, there's nothing, like, super wrong with my eyes where, like, concerning. I just, for some reason, I can't tell the difference, and I don't know why. So that was never an issue for me. All the it's something like quite magical about this game coming out when it did, because it's after we of course we heard rumors that the team making Paper Mario games were not allowed to make new characters, to make to do weirder stuff. But this game's really weird. This game's really weird for a Mario game. I mean, you got a rogue port, and man, there's a noose. Just right there's a noose. You wouldn't see that in a regular Mario game. All the different kinds of enemies, how cheeky characters can be. It's a really good time. And I recommend you get the game sooner or later, because I'm worried that the game's legacy is almost going to lead the Switch version to get more expensive. I hate the sales weren't amazing, which is concerning, because I want more games like this. They're fun. I do actually want to play Origami Kingdom. Or Origami King? It's one of those two. I do want to play that, because the game itself still looks kind of fun. Next is Layers of Fear, which is kind of a psychological horror game with some jump scares. I played this just to see if I could beat a horror game. See, I buy horror games because I like gothic stuff, but I get too scared to play them. But like, I got through this game. Overall, It was okay. I haven't really got any opinions on it that are worth talking about. I'm just glad I got through it. I would recommend it for people who are in my awkward spot where they like horror but are scared of horror. But if you're willing to give a horror game out, give them a try. Maybe try Layers of Fear. Next is the entire Shovel Knight collection. So, um, I bought Shovel Knight when it came out, like not the day of, but I bought it like pretty much I think like the year it came out. So I got all of the campaigns for free. Um, and originally all I beat was Shovel of Hope and Plague of Shadows. Not Plague of Shadows, Spectre of Torment. Out of the two, my favorite was Plague of Shadows. Spectre of Torment. Why do I keep getting them mixed up? Spectre of Torment was my favorite because I liked the movement a lot, to be honest. I say to be honest, like I'm saying something really. Like I'm saying something. Oh, there's a video on the background. Like I'm saying something really controversial. But no, I quite like the movement. When I played Plague of Shadows originally, I get really bad choice paralysis. Like personally, I do. I like quite a lot. Like Netflix is difficult. I can never pick what to watch. Um, but yeah, so I never really got through it. And King of Cards, I just didn't play it much when it came out. But I thought, nah, I want to play some platformers, so I'll play through the entire lot of games. Shovel of Hope, like always, it's just a really good, solid, fun platformer. And then Plague of Shadows, I enjoyed it more than I remembered. I did actually beat it. I beat all of these. Plague of Shadows, well, gameplay wise, isn't my least favorite. Like, I don't enjoy it as much as Shovel Knight or Spectre of Torment, but I'm glad I've played it. The combinations, once you find combinations you like, you're pretty set on those, and switching on the fly can be fun. But yeah, it's good, but like, it's not entirely for me, but I'm glad I played it. Spectral Torment still is my favorite one out of the three. I just like the gameplay the most. You know, you're this cool, edgy guy who can surf on his scythe, for God's sakes. Like, it's amazing. King of Cards had fun gameplay, but my God, I despise King Knight with every fiber of my being. I hate King Knight so much. He's an ass. And I hate seeing him succeed. Like, I'm the one playing as him. I'm helping him succeed. I hated seeing him succeed because even at the end, he's just an asshole. And I hate him. It got to the point where I disliked him so much that my brother said I was even saying how much I hated him in my sleep. But the gameplay is great. You should play it for the gameplay. The gameplay is great, but I hate Shovel Knight. Not Shovel Knight. I hate King Knight. Faerun is this game I had on my 3DS for like donkey's years, man. Like, not 10 years. Like, I've had it on there for like a good 6, 7, maybe even 8 years. I played a little bit of it and never progressed. So I threw up a little guide, I started again, and I got through it. It's a short game, it's a fine game, it's whatever, it's like a little Zelda-like. I don't even know, because I got this on a 3DS, I don't even know if it's available anymore. If you like Zelda-like games and want a quick little kind of short game, which at points you will have to use a guide for, I think, maybe play Faerun. Next is Toy Genesis. I love Toy. Toy 1 and Toy 2, they're great times. They're really fun. Just really, they're super cheap, like 99p each. But they're really competent 3D platformers that like lean on a slightly more Sonic side of things, where they're kind of based on speed. If you like kind of 3D platformers, maybe even like 3D Sonic games, if you're an autist like me, I would highly recommend Toy Genesis. Next is Sea of Stars, an RPG. So this game kind of confused me, not in what it is itself, but the reception to it. So, how do I explain? So, I'm pretty sure when this game came out, people were lauding it. Like, this game's amazing. Look at it. It's so gorgeous. The gameplay is great. So I thought, well, I gotta get this RPG. And then I played it, and like, overall, I thought the gameplay was fine. Like no, I didn't like. I wasn't over the moon loving it, but like at the same time, I didn't dislike it. I thought, it's a fun enough RPG system. So I thought, let's see what people are saying about this game, and it seemed like it was a lot more mixed, I guess, than I was expecting. People were saying, well, the gameplay doesn't evolve. You're doing the exact same thing the entire game, and there's not a whole lot of progression in a sense. The characters don't grow much outside of the main protagonist. So I'm like, I guess I can see that. So I understand why people had their issues, but like overall, I thought like the graphics alone really make the game kind of worth playing. Maybe it might be worth just watching a let's play of it in that case. But like I thought the gameplay was fun enough. The characters are neat as visually. Some of them one made me emotional at one point. I won't say who. But no, it's just a gorgeous game with a fun enough story and some funky characters, which is now getting a free DLC, which I plan on playing. I was quite annoyed that they made the quality of life update after I beaten the game. I really wish I would have waited a little bit, but c'est la vie. Let's see. Tunic. So sometimes, like, a game that should be here is not here. I'm just realizing. Before I talk about Tunic, I'm going to talk about Animal Well. Animal Well should be here. I'm just gonna slap that on above Tunic. This is scuffed this out. This whole video is scuffed. No one's listening at this point, LMAO. But the numbers are there. The question marks are there, by the way, because I was numbering them. But then you can see at one point I didn't know what would I be them on. But Animal Well came out, and while I pointed out, I play Castlevania, which are all Metroidvania games. What's the more modern Castlevania? I mean, I'm not the biggest Metroidvania guy, but Animal Well is a game that kind of just called out to me. I don't know how to explain it, but sometimes there's a game that comes out and it just goes, hey, play me. Buy me and play me. And I'm like, yes, game, I shall. It doesn't happen a whole lot. It happened a couple of times this year, but this game is one of those times where it's like, I just felt this strong urge to play it as soon as possible. And it's great. It's really good. The graphics are quite, like the atmosphere of it all. The graphics are very simple, but they very much do the job. They're very good. The atmosphere is incredible. The music, lack thereof, again, it builds into that atmosphere. And the game is very intelligent. The game, it doesn't show tutorials down your throat. In fact, I don't. Is that even tutorials? The closest thing to tutorials when you get an item and it quickly tells you how to use it. The game is just a really good time. I did only beat the first layer of the game. I did start work on beating the second layer, but eventually I had my fun. I might go back to it and do that at some point, but I was mostly content with the first layer. But it was really good. Even though I didn't finish the second layer of the game, if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. I still put double my original playtime into the game, trying to find those eggs and trying to find uncover every little bit about the map as I could. Even if I beat the second layer, though, I don't think I would have went to 3 and 4 because the puzzles get really difficult, and I'm like, I say I beat the game. I'm saying I'm not a puzzly kind of guy. I'm not. But Animal Well is just that well designed and that interesting that I wanted to solve them. But the level of complexity of the puzzles later in the game, 3 or 4, it wasn't up my alley. I had my fun with the first layer and a chunk of the second, but I see why the game called out to me. This atmosphere is incredible. Next we have Tunic. So Tunic is another game that kind of called out to me. Somewhat not as intensely as Animal Well, but it did. Because for some reason I became really kind of captivated with the idea of the game having this language and the game having its own language, and the game having that whole instruction manual. I thought that was really cool. And unfortunately, while I did beat this game, the concepts I got a little disillusioned with as I played the game. Not that the game is bad, from what some people love this game, and I didn't dislike it. But one thing is that I really tried on my own to decipher the language, but I am not smart, so I couldn't, and I ended up having to use online guides. But from what I understand, the game doesn't seem to fully expect you to even translate the language, which I was disappointed. I wanted to try and translate the game. I wanted to try and understand what was being said, but someone did figure it out. But yeah, that part kind of I should say disappointed because the game didn't even say it was about kind of learning this extra language. But yeah, it was something that maybe I'm not sure if I would have bought the game if I knew about ahead of time. I should have looked into it, but like, it's still a fun time. And then in covering the all the pieces of the instruction manual. The instruction manual is great.